A leader with the African American civil rights group, the NAACP, is causing quite an uproar. 37-year-old Rachel Dolezal is accused of faking her life story and her racial identity. She's now been outed by her white family for passing herself off as an African American. Let's bring in CNN's Suzanne Malveaux now. She's with us, joining us from Washington, D.C. And obviously this has sparked quite a bit of a new race conversation online as well. It's a very bizarre story. When did this mother start the transformation to look like and impersonate an African American?
You know, Linda, this is a story that is on fire on social media. It seems to have everybody talking about it, of course, and they're even making some comparisons to the gender transition that we saw last week from Bruce Jenner to Caitlyn Jenner, calling this a case of transracial change in this effort for Rachel Dolezal to become black.
Are you African American?
I don't understand the question.
It all came crashing down for NAACP Spokane president Rachel Dolezal, who has been portraying herself as a black woman for the past 10 years. Confronted by a reporter, her parents are now calling her out. Ruth Ann and Lawrence Dolezal say their 37-year-old daughter is white.
We are her birth parents, and we do not understand why she feels it's necessary to misrepresent her ethnicity.
Her ethnicity, the elders say, is Swiss, German, Czech, and some Native American. They provided this photo of Rachel as a young girl on the left. On the right, here's what she looks like today.
Seemed like she was just doing more of an artistic, expressive representation of her identifying with African Americans by doing her hair and extensions and things like that.
Rachel grew up in predominantly white Montana, but her parents say she immersed herself in the black community when she attended college in Jackson, Mississippi. Rachel's parents had also adopted 4 black children.
Rachel has always been interested in ethnicity and diversity, and we had many friends of different ethnicities when she was growing up. So it didn't start with the 4 adopted children of color. It was probably that added to her passion.
Rachel even received a full scholarship to the historically black college, Howard University, which never inquired about her ethnicity on her application.
Eyes were popping and jaws were dropping when she walked in to finalize her registration in person.
But the Dolezals say they became estranged from their daughter when she began to assume a new black identity. Rachel married an African-American man, Kevin, with whom she had a son, who posted a video about their love. Later, Rachel would post Facebook pictures of one of her adopted brothers as her own son, referred to her natural curls, and identified herself on a job application as part black. As professor of Africana Studies at Eastern Washington University, Rachel was clear.
I actually don't like the term African American. I prefer black.
But it was the questionable death threats and reported hate crimes against Rachel and her family which led to an investigation and questions about her race. In January, the Spokane chapter of the NAACP posted a picture of Dolezal standing beside this black man, who Rachel claimed was her father. She said he couldn't visit Spokane because he was battling cancer.
Is that your dad?
Yeah, that's my dad.
Now, it should be noted that there have always been white students at Howard University and white members of the NAACP. There was really no need for Rachel Dolezal to pretend that she was black. Well, the NAACP is now coming to Rachel's defense, saying in a statement, one's racial identity is not a qualifying criteria or disqualifying standard for NAACP leadership. The NAACP Alaska, Oregon, Washington State Conference stands behind Ms. Dolezal's advocacy record. Linda?
So did she actually get this university scholarship because she said she was black? And could she face any charges or penalties for doing this?
Well, it certainly is something that they're looking into. There is an investigation that's going on. It's unclear whether or not she would be charged, but that is one of the things that they want to see is whether or not she could be charged for falsifying a job application for a city position, whether or not she deceived university administration officials for potentially portraying herself as black for a black applicant, if a slot was in fact saved for a black applicant. And finally, these threats that she said that she was getting, these racial threats, whether or not those were actually in fact true. They are looking into whether or not she actually sent some of the letters and the packages that she said were suspicious and threatening to her and her family, whether or not she actually sent them herself. So all of those are unanswered questions tonight, and something that they are looking into to see whether or not they could potentially criminally charge her.
This story isn't going to go away anytime soon. Suzanne Malveaux.
Everybody's talking about it.
They certainly are. Suzanne Malveaux, thank you so much for joining us. And we actually want to keep going on this story and look at the reaction on social media. It ranges from the silly to the more serious. Have a look at this. This tweet received hundreds of retweets for this post. It says, if I identify as a white, when do I receive my privilege? 3 to 5 business days? Express shipping? I need to know. And as we mentioned earlier, many have drawn comparisons to Caitlyn Jenner's recent transition from male to female. Sean says this: she was born in the wrong body. Let's shower her with awards and magazine covers. And there's this: the rift over colour on Twitter hasn't been so intense since the infamous dress. Debbie jokingly says, so is Rachel Dolezal white and gold or blue and black? This is going to continue. There's no doubt about that. Well, still to come, the latest dinosaur blockbuster film is getting ready to fossilise the competition. We'll have more on the passion to the prehistoric. Stay with us.